Greeting friends, blues fans. Today's installment. We're going to continue on somewhat related to what we've been talking about, which is targeted soloing, but we're going to talk about the minor pentatonic and how it fits in and how we can use it to our advantage but still maintain this idea of trying to create melody, understanding a particular note's desire to resolve to certain locations. Okay, this will all make sense here in just a second. If you've been watching along, today we're playing in the key of A, but if you've been watching along, we've been talking about playing over a particular chord, like an A major chord. We have A, the root, C sharp, which is the third, and E, which is the 5, right? Those are the notes in the chords. Within bounds are the notes F sharp, which is the 6th scale degree, and it wants to resolve down to 5 or up to 1. Okay? Also within bounds, the 2nd scale degree. In this key, we are at B. B wants to go up to E, right? Or it wants to go down to the root A. Okay? So where does that leave our minor pentatonic? Well, using the minor pentatonic is going to sound fantastic, and as we know, it works great over a blues chord progression, a 1-4-5. But what I would encourage folks to begin to do is to take a look a little bit closer at the minor pentatonic and see how it relates to the chords that we're playing, both all three, 1, 4, and 5, and how the notes of that minor pentatonic might want to resolve. Okay, for instance, on the 1 chord, right? If we were going to talk about our 1 chord, we've got A, C sharp, and E. In our A minor pentatonic, we have A, C natural, right? C natural wants to resolve up a half step to the major third of A when we're on A, right? We've heard this phrase all the time, right? Where you hear phrases start like this, right? Or, right? We've got the minor note from the minor pentatonic. It wants to resolve up a half step, right? Now, what's cool about that note is, like the B note, it also can resolve back to A. So we could play, right? Okay, all right. Also in the minor pentatonic, we've got D, right? Right? If we go up the minor pentatonic, we have A, C, D, okay? D is our 4 chord, so it's not necessarily a note that we want to hang on when we're playing the 1 chord. However, that D does want to resolve nicely down a half step to C sharp or up a whole to the 5, right? So we could play on our A chord, we could play, right? We can combine the two and sound like Charlie Christian, right? Okay. Going up the minor pentatonic, A, C, D, E. We've already got an E covered because that's in the chord. The last note is G, and that note wants to go up to the root, right, or down to 5. All right, so within bounds, we have the notes of A major, A, C sharp, E. Notes that are within the diatonic scale, the 6th, which is F sharp. We've talked about how that wants to resolve. Or the 2. Now we've we've talked about the notes of the minor pentatonic, right? Or, right? Or, right? Okay. Now if we're going to the 4 chord, we know that those notes are still in bounds. However, the notes of the A minor pentatonic now change in their desire to resolve, right? Because we're playing a 4 chord, which is D7, right? So our A minor pentatonic, A is the 5th of the chord. That's a note in the chord, right? C is, we're playing, a dominant chord, right? A 7 chord. C is in the chord. That note is resolved. D, that's the root of the chord, right? So far we got chord tones, right? That note is the 9, often included in this chord, right? So we could call that a chord tone. And then this note. This might be our one sort of problem child here on the 4 chord. That's the 4, which makes it sound like a suspended chord. I would say that note wants to resolve down a half step to the 3rd of the 4 chord, right? Right? It happens here, which is sort of interesting. Like, here's that G down below. Once I go down to the 3rd, so we could go. The last chord we have to deal with is the 5 chord. This is sort of like almost anything is within bounds, but let's just take a look at the A minor pentatonic in relation to the 5 chord. We got A is the 4 or the 11. C is sharp 5, nice altered tone. D is the flat 7. E is the root, and G is the sharp 9. So all those notes are cool, which I'm sure you know. However, what would be cool is if we use those notes to resolve to certain chords of the 5 chord. In other words, A or G want to resolve to the 3rd of E, right? If I'm going to walk up to the 5 chord and I go, right, now we really have the sound of the 5 chord in our ear. We're using the minor pentatonic, but we're pushing the notes of the minor pentatonic toward specific chord tones, right? And that sort of helps the listener and your fellow bandmates understand understand where you are, right? Or it helps them understand that you know where you are. So, okay. So anyway, this is a more complicated subject, and it does require a lot of time and patience and going slowly. So if I can recommend one thing, it's really going slowly. You can investigate a bunch of this stuff if you check out B.B. King. Man, you could listen to his 50s or his 60s stuff, and you really hear this mixture of the minor pentatonic and then focused chord tones. But let me just play a few choruses here, and so you can kind of hear this concept. So again, I'm playing in the key of A, all right? So. Here's a little example, but check out B.B. King. He's the true master of that. Have fun practicing, and we'll see you on the next one.